I think for me, it's always just been, I want to do that, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's where I want to be. So I'm going to work to get to there.
Yes.
I couldn't be a personal trainer till I was 18. I left school. Well, what am I going to do in the meantime? I'll find something to do, then I'll come back and I'll do that because that's where I'm going. That's the job I want to work. That's where I'm going to go. And then when I move, as I say, moving here, I feel like put your hat in the ring, really. See what happens. And if you really want something, you can make it happen.
Hi everyone, it's Laura running solo for the intro today, so hopefully you can bear with us, and this is Dan's official apologies. What happens when you leave school without the grades you hoped for, but with a whole world still ahead of you? Today's guest, Gwen Gothard, shows us exactly what's possible when you follow your interests, trust your instinct, and keep saying yes to the next opportunity. Gwen's story begins in the UK when navigating dyslexia meant changing schools, finding teachers who saw her strengths, and discovering sport as a place where she finally felt capable. From there, she built a life defined not by scores, but by courage and curiosity. Business studies, photography in Italy, personal training, performance nutrition, working with elite athletes and Olympians, and now launching her own recovery and wellness brand, Tranquil Eyes. In this conversation, Gwen shares how to spot opportunities, how to back yourself even when the path isn't obvious. Her advocacy shaped her learning, and why doing what you love is one of the strongest predictors of success. Whether you're a parent supporting a young person through school, or someone wondering if it's too late to change direction, Gwen's story is a powerful reminder that school is important, but it's not the end. It's a beginning. Welcome to this episode of More Than a Score. All right, I think we're on.
We're on?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Gwen Gothard.
Yes.
It's lovely to have you here on More Than a Score. Welcome. I'm very lucky. I get to do a little bit of an intro for each guest. So I've brought together some words here. I'm going to be watching your reaction with this too, okay? So engaged, community-focused, health and wellness warrior, quiet daredevil, open to do and see things a little differently, a connector and warm storyteller, a PT who is a warm demander, I'd say, a nutritionist, netball coach, open-minded thinker, originally from the UK, but then you discovered paradise in Australia. Gwen, it's lovely to have you on More Than a Score.
Thank you, Dan.
And one of the ways that we start More Than a Score is we ask, when you think back to the end of your time in school, were you happy with your score?
I guess in England we don't actually have, you don't leave with a score. So
Yeah.
for me it's a little bit different on that side. But if we talk about grades as a whole,
Yeah.
when I left, probably was I happy would be a bit of I was happy to leave school. My grades, I wouldn't say were great. Actually, not at all.
Yeah.
Very good. And in England, what we do is you need to get those grades to be able to then go on and study your A-levels. So you need to get specific grades. Otherwise, you then go on and do a trade or you then leave.
Yeah.
Effectively. For me, my options were I didn't really want to go to A-levels, so I decided to leave and then also go to college after that, which is like a TAFE, I guess. But happy with my score? Probably not, no.
I think it's a really interesting thing because sometimes people have in their minds, and this is the reason we started the podcast, was people say it's A-levels over in the UK or going all the way through to year 12 and then on to university. People sometimes say that is only the one pathway. And the whole reason that we set all this up was, listening to, and I've got to know you over the last few months, you've got some pretty amazing stories and all the different things that you've achieved. And sometimes people think there's only one way to achieve and experience success. And that's why I've been so excited about having you on, because you have this incredible story. I'm fully biased because I think it's an incredible story, but I was so inspired to have you come on. And one of the things when you did the pre-pod form, I noticed you said, when you were describing school, you said it's important, but it's not the end.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that from you.
Okay, so I guess for me, school was more social. I enjoyed that aspect of it. If I go back to where I started in school, I was first of all started in private schools, so my primary schools were private. Being dyslexic, I didn't gel very well in the private sector. You're very pigeonholed into this is what you need to be, this is what the grades you need to do. And if you don't fall in line with that, they don't bother with you, or you're kind of just left on the side. So for me, it was more, I'm here because I've got all my friends and I was, very popular in school, had a lot of friends, had a lot of time and energy for all the sports and stuff. But the education side I wasn't happy. So when I got to year 7, so the school that I was in, that was a private school, went from primary on to secondary. And I then decided, my parents and I decided in year 7 that the school just wasn't really right for me. So I went to a Catholic school, which was run by nuns. It was a state school, as we call it in England. So your public school, I think you call it here.
Yep.
And it was a girls' school. It was run by nuns. It was very strict. We had to make sure that our kilt was below our knees. We had a tie. We had all of that. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was where I made my good friends, who I'm still very good friends with now. One of them's now my sister-in-law, actually, my friend from school. Married my brother. But I loved it and I enjoyed it, and I started to thrive there because in the public system, it was better for my dyslexia. There was a variety of different people. There was a variety of different needs. And it allowed me to then find my path and find my interests.
So you talk about the private school not fitting and the Catholic school being a better fit. I love to know the difference in terms of what was going on that really worked versus what was happening that really felt like I'm just not fitting in here. What's going on?
So the private school was smaller classes. There was only one class per grade. You were all programmed to do that. That's what you're doing. This is the task for the class. That's what you're doing. The Catholic school that I went to, so in England it's a little bit different to here as well. So the Catholic education doesn't mean, it's not like your 3 tiers that you have here. So it's still not a paid school.
Okay.
So you've got private school in England and state school. The Catholic school just happened to be also state school. So it still wasn't a non-paid thing. So you've actually got larger classes. We had 6 or 7 classes per year level. So you then get tiered off into, you get these grades. So you've got your higher level maths, science, English, whatever it is.
Stream?
Yes, a stream down to how your level of, I guess, the way you are. So then it was better for me in a way that I wasn't having to just go down this one path of everyone's got to fit into this one box. You're all doing the same worksheets. You're all doing the same stuff. And it allowed me to explore different parts of education that I wasn't exposed to.
Yeah.
Also in the private area, because there was more classes available. It was a bigger school. There was more support as well, because there was more support from teachers and government support, whereas the private school was very much, if you don't get this grade, you're bringing our overall level down.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I was so much better off in that system.
That's such an interesting perspective, because I think that pretty much most places have done away with streaming. It used to be quite a big thing, I feel like. And then there was a lot of controversy around, well, what if you're in the lower stream, or, what does that do to your self-esteem, or, should you be with kids that are performing better to extend you? So I find that perspective really interesting from you, that you actually found it suited you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it better because it was it just felt more natural to me.
Yeah.
And is that when you discovered a love of sport? Your eyes lit up before when you actually said that you moved into this different school setting. And it sounds like there was some things that the school did really well. It sounded like you had more opportunities. But how did you discover this love of sport? What was it that occurred?
I think I had some good PE teachers. Some nice teachers in there. I guess I was good at it too. I enjoyed it. I played on the netball team.
No broken fingers, because Gwen is currently sitting here experiencing an injury, still playing netball, a broken finger from going so hard. Is that right?
Yes, going so hard in my mum's team on the Wednesday night.
Still counts. Sorry, I interrupted you. So you discovered sport. You had some really great teachers.
And I just loved it. I enjoyed it. It was an outlet that I loved. So I would put my hand up to be on any of the teams or do anything extra, or, in the lunch breaks where you had to help with PE stuff. So I loved it. It was just an enjoyment for me.
How important is it to feel capable, do you think?
Very important. Very important.
Could you elaborate on that? Why?
Because I think it gives you a bit of self-worth, and you actually make you feel like you're achieving something, you can do something. And if you feel like you're just constantly getting knocked down or you're not good at something, eventually will get to you.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I've always been very open-minded, and you pick me up and put me anywhere, I'll be happy as long as, I've got, I guess you make your own happiness. But I think definitely if you've got something and you've got the drive to go where you want to go, you can be happy.
Can I ask, because you were saying that academically you knew that that wasn't where you were the most capable, did that sit with you for a long time, that feeling of not being academic, or were you able to sort of move into the place where you felt more capable and that's where you got your self-worth? Was there any kind of activity around that?
Well, I was at school in the 90s when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. My mum was a massive advocate for me and my siblings. She was probably the main driver behind anything like that. And she noticed that there was something that I wasn't getting, and she thought it was dyslexia. So she took all the paths and all the things that she could actually do at that stage to try and get a diagnosis and then get the extra additional support. So the additional support being she would get a little bit of extra, the tuition in there and help, and a little bit of help as well, making sure that the school was right, making sure that they had extra learnings that could have support dyslexia. She advocated for longer time in exams. But back in the 90s, those type of things weren't available and they weren't
I was going to say, it sounds like she's quite a trailblazer for you, actually, because I feel like at that time in those conditions, that's just not what was known.
It wasn't, and it wasn't accepted, really. So she was there basically, just went until it allowed it and it happened. So,
legend.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
We normally jump later on, like where we like to talk about, so thinking of a message for parents listening. So the listener that's sitting there that either has a child at school who maybe needs some extra help, or maybe they need to advocate, what tips would you give? Because that sounds like, as you just said, Laura, like that sounds amazing. Like what a trailblazer. And now it's probably more commonplace, but still probably doesn't happen maybe as much as you think.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent listening right now, what would you say, like, are some key tips that you maybe use or you'd recommend?
Yeah. I'd say go with your gut. If you think that your child needs that extra support and you can recognise that there's something that you can potentially do to help, then do it, and don't take no for an answer. Go and go and go until you get what you want.
Yeah. I mean, the landscape's a little bit nicer now, right? Yep. People are more willing and open to have those conversations. But I do think there are still parents that are like, well, I don't want to push too hard, or I don't want to create too many waves. But clearly it really helped you, your mum being in there and
being open to change schools for me as well, because that's another big thing. Sometimes you're like, well, they're in school, they're happy enough, they've got friends, they're getting on, they're getting through. But to then recognise, no, it's not enough. Let's explore the option of allowing you to move school. Let's, change it up for you. So it's the best for you.
But you said you were part of that decision too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So talk me through that. So it wasn't just her deciding.
No.
What was that conversation like?
So I don't remember how we actually came to the decision to move, but my mum and dad both took me to an interview at the new school, and I remember just walking in there thinking, wow, this is huge. This is a massive school. It's going to probably swallow me. Also thinking, wow, there's so much more opportunity, and for my personality, it suited me so much better. And I instantly thought that this is the right decision. So when I spoke to my mum and dad about it, it was that, okay, this is the right decision, and I'm happy to leave that life behind me and move to a new adventure.
Well, and you could spot the opportunities.
Yeah.
When I was an assistant principal, so often I'd be chatting with parents, and the number one response I used to hear from them was they'd start by saying, oh, I don't want to be that parent. And I'd always just say, you're not. It's better to come and have the conversation. Like, let's talk and explore, because otherwise we can't make adjustments or do whatever's needed. And also, they're your kid. Like, your job is to advocate for them. So you should never ever feel bad about going and have a conversation and speak up. And especially, like, it sounds like what a life-changing shift from this amazing trailblazer of your mum and your dad. Was it? They were involved in that conversation
both of them together.
And then I love that idea that they trusted you, brought you down, you got to see, and you're like, oh my God, look at these possibilities. Gwen, is it all right if I move from, so that's when you think of that start of school, the next step we sort of take is starting to think about the journey from, because I love the fact that you said this was just a point in time, it's not the end with school. And when I was going through, and we had a conversation off before we were recording, but so you finished up school at 16, and then you couldn't start jumping into being a PT. You had to wait until you were 18. So in between that time, before you even then moved into studying business at 22, you were traveling, exploring the world. Then you started to do PT so you can bring together some more money. You then jumped in, did a bridging course, decided that you wanted to study business, did that, continued to do a little bit more traveling, maybe met a husband at some point later down in the journey while traveling, But I love the fact that you moved into and you discovered this passion of health science or nutrition science, sports nutrition. You then moved in to be a nutritionist in high-performance sport, working with elite teams across the UK and Australia. You now teach nutrition. You also consult for Musashi. And now you've also just launched this brand new business. Do you want to plug the name of the business?
Yep, it's Tranquilize.
Tranquilize.
You spell it because it's the plan words.
Yep, it is. So it's Tranquil, so Tranquil, EYES.
And I think, given that where we started this conversation when we asked that first question, and it was like, well, there wasn't a score and I wasn't too sure, and like we had to change school. As you hear that journey that you've taken from finishing school at 16 all the way through to now, all the different things that you're doing, what's been a defining moment for you since leaving school?
Oh, since leaving school. Okay. I think for me, I'm a very driven person. So if I want something, that's in my focus, and that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going, and that's what I'm getting. I knew that when I left school, couldn't be a PT at that stage, so I found other avenues to do. I actually, in the middle of that as well. So after I'd studied business, I wasn't sure. Again, I still had another year to go, so I thought I would try photography. So this is so different. So I did photography for a while, but that opened up massive opportunities for me and gave me a grant to go and live in Italy. So I worked as a photography assistant in Italy for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So I did that. And then when I came back, I then studied personal training, went through that side of things, and then I decided to travel with the personal training side. So I think for me, the thing that stands out would be just saying yes and going in different directions. Like, for example, when you asked me to come on the podcast, oh, sure, why not? Yes, I'll do that.
I loved the response. Yes. Took a moment? Yes.
So, yeah, like just saying yes and being open to possibilities and being open to new adventures. So going and studying photography, it was something I was interested in. When I studied it, I was like, this isn't really for me, but I've got an opportunity to move to Italy for 3 months. I'll do that for a little bit. Okay, I'll do that, come back. And I always still had this focus of personal training. So that's where I went. And then from there, I got my interest from nutrition. And then I decided that nutrition is what I wanted to do, and then bring personal training and nutrition together, bringing sports nutrition. So that's how I kind of got into that.
Can I ask, you said say yes. What are the criteria for the yes for you? Like, what is it that you kind of need to say, yep, that's the next thing? Are you going to ask that, Dan?
I had that down here. I was like, oh, you took my question. What a great question. I mean, we're collaborative here. Great question, Laura. Great question.
Yeah.
So what is the yes? Sorry, so what's...
You're talking about saying yes to opportunity. So what is it that makes you go, yes, that's the one, that's what I want to say yes to? What is it about the decision-making process?
Yeah. I think for me, it is heavily driven on interests, and I love adventure. Adventure is my thing. But I'm a great believer in just going with your own instinct and knowing your own mind to be able to say, yes, that's not exactly where everyone's going. No, they're all going over there, but I want to go over there, so that's where I'm going. And I think it's following and making your own path that suits you, not what suits everybody else or the thing that is going to get you the most recognised or the most money or whatever it would be. That doesn't drive me.
Yeah.
So for me, business and work has always been fun. I wouldn't consider a lot of what I do as work, even though I get paid for it. It's because I enjoy it.
That's cool.
So,
well, you said in your pre-form, stay open, say yes, create your own path.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've done throughout my whole career.
Yeah.
So the criteria you use for helping, because it's the biggest thing that I've taken from getting to know you is that you say yes and you're so open. I just think it's fascinating for someone listening to help. If I could pass it on to my own kids, he's going like, well, how can we be a little bit more like Gwen? And it's really thinking through like, okay, so is it going to be fun? Is there some sort of sense of adventure? Does it connect to the thing that you actually, like you all know inside if you actually want to do it? If they're starting to align and work out, yeah, that connects, I can then say yes. I reckon that'd be a really powerful thing.
Well, someone said to me, I think I was about 18 at the time, someone said to me, you know what, it's always better to regret something that you have done than something you haven't done. And I've always gone, yeah, that's actually a really nice way of putting it. So rather than miss the opportunity, say yes, and okay, it might not go the plan. obviously you're saying yes to the things that are not dangerous and, not going to be detrimental to anybody else or anything else.
And aligned with your interests.
Yeah, and align with your interests. But saying yes to an opportunity, like I was just saying to Dan before we started, I was at the gym this morning and someone came up to me and I just random chit chat about what I do for work. And I just said, I work in sports nutrition, I work with athletes and supplementation. And then instantly she wants a business card and she wants me to go and work with their squad for gymnastics.
Fantastic.
So things like that, and that isn't the path I was thinking of taking any extra clients on at the moment. That's not where I'm really thinking. But sure, why not? Let's have the conversation. If I can help you and I can help your athletes along the way, then why not divide a little bit of my time and help you there and then carry on.
So I think listening from you, every time we talk to a guest, there's always some sort of like thread or some big picture thing, and it's saying yes, and then there's also spotting opportunities.
Yes.
The defining moment that you spoke about was the fact that you chose to actually study photography, which led you to then go to Italy, and then it led down this track towards nutrition. I'm wondering, in your head, when you're thinking about all of this, how do you spot an opportunity, or what is it that you look for that makes it seem like a great opportunity?
So my first job out of university was working for Muscle, which is a sports supplement company in the UK, and it's the biggest one in Europe. When I was in university, I was still working at the gym to fund my uni, and I started working with supplements with my clients, and I was like, oh, this is a really good brand. I really like this. And in my sights, like halfway through my degree, I was like, you know what, that's the company I want to work for. And that's where I'm going to go, and that's what I'm doing. So I finished my degree, and there was no jobs available for that company. And I looked a few times, there was nothing. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it anyway. So I just basically contacted them. A job arose, and I went in, had an interview. I'd been out of uni for a month at that time, and started 2 weeks later. And then I started working for Muscle, and then I was like, this is the job that I wanted when I left uni, and this is where I'm going. And then from there, I did lots of travel around Europe, worked with the Welsh rugby team, I worked with the EPL, I worked with lots of different Olympic athletes as well, travelled around Europe. And when I was in uni, I also was in the Army Reserves, because I just love that adventure side. And then that also took me through to getting my job after leaving, because my dissertation, my do you call it over here?
Like your thesis?
Yeah. My thesis was on army ration packs for military, where I did the American versus the UK. And
can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
What did you find out? I'm really interested. My brother-in-law's in the army. I've heard a lot about ration packs, and he's brought us the things sometimes.
So yeah.
Tell me about, what did you learn?
So
I've gone off.
Yeah, no, that's all good. So when I was there, we'll go back. So when I was in uni, I was in the Army Reserves, and I was doing all this adventure training, and I was eating the ration packs on weekends, because that's what we had to go out into the field and fend for yourself for a weekend.
Yeah.
They'd drop you off somewhere, and you'd have to find yourself to another location, and very sleep deprived and wet, and sometimes in the snow. Oh God, it was awful. But in that sense, looking back, but we'd eat these ration packs, and I was like really interested in that, like
the nutrition.
Yeah, what's the nutritional quality in this? I'm studying nutrition, so I took them into the lab and dissected it all, and decided to make sure how many calories per things, and you basically put it into a heated oven and work out the scientific information of the ration pack. And it was very low in vitamin C. So vitamin C is a really hard vitamin to actually keep, because it's a water-soluble vitamin. So it's something you have to take in daily, but you can't store it. So it's really hard to store for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And these ration packs could be in circulation for 6-7 years. So they'll be in like a vacuum pack for that amount of time. So you can't retain the natural quality that you need. So from there, we also, and vitamin C is really important for recovery. So cuts and things like that.
Also, is vitamin C the one that you get scurvy and
exactly. Yeah, so you get scurvy if you don't. If you don't have it.
Yes,
so
we're anti-scurvy on this podcast.
We are not pro-scurvy. Yeah,
good. Just clarify.
We do not.
It's important. We do not endorse nor promote.
So it sounds like the play.
It's awful
thing, but at the same time, if you're not getting it,
and that's what happened to a lot of the sailors. They used to get it, and that's why they call it the limeys, didn't they? Because they sucked the lime. So so there was very low in vitamin C, and that's an important one for recovery for cuts. And you think, well, if people are in the military and they're basically out in the open and needing recovery, needing their cells and everything to reform and rechange, that's something they really need. So in my dissertation, my findings were that was probably the main part that needed to change in there. There was a couple of other things, a bit of iron, but you can supplement with iron. It's easy enough.
Yeah.
But that was the major finding. So when I left uni and went for this job at Maxi Muscle, they were actually at the time trying to get into ration packs for the army. So they were trying to get their product in because there was protein powders, protein supplements, sports supplements. So then, obviously, talking to them about my dissertation, it was something that they were very interested in. And then when I took the employment, I actually designed a little effervescent tablet, which is a vitamin C tablet that goes into water, like a Barocca type thing. A Barocca. And so I helped do the product development of that. And then we designed it, put the Maxi Muscle stamp on it, and it's actually still in circulation today on the British Army ration packs.
How amazing.
Yeah. So one of my friends was in Afghanistan, actually in the army. And he contacted me and said, "Oh my God, I've got your product. So I'm actually using the one that you designed in the ration packs." So that was so exciting to hear that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
How powerful.
Yeah. So it was really, 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 quite pleasing, but also quite fun to think that it took from uni into the workplace.
And also just listening to you just then. So Loz, you asked the question about about feeling capable way back at school. Yeah. And this thing of not feeling potentially academically capable. Just listening to you, so you've created a dissertation that's all about as you're explaining all of that, the knowledge that you have and the ability to go through and the capabilities you have of that. I think it's just so lovely. If I was someone that had a child at school that was maybe thinking they're not academically capable, and then hearing you just share what you just shared about everything you've made, it's 100% not the end.
No.
It's channeled your interest, an area that you were in, and then you've lent into these opportunities.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I also try? I was trying to listen really hard to think, what is it that you think through when you're spotting opportunities? Can I check if I spotted 4 things that seem to jump out to me? So listening to you, what seems to maybe go through your head? You don't want to regret doing things, like missing out on things. So first of all, would I regret not doing this? And then it seems that you ask yourself something about, is this actually what I want? Then there's the reach out. So you actually then go contact and reach out. And then you also take action by then leaning into the opportunity. Is that a pretty...
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now I can go tell my kids, these are the 4 things we do to be more like Gwen.
Yeah, just to take that opportunity. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
I'm fascinated by that ration pack stuff, honestly.
Yeah. And comparing it to the Americans, so in my dissertation, I compared the two. And that was an interesting finding too, with the amount of stuff that they actually had. I mean, they put Tabasco sauce in there, like a little bottle of Tabasco sauce for flavouring and random things in there, but and higher fat content.
My brother-in-law, he got hooked on Coffee Mate from his ration packs. You know that strange milk powder, and he still uses it in his coffee.
Oh, really?
Cool. So it's really interesting. And the condensed milk.
Yeah.
Like, it was the stuff that we've seen. I'm kind of like, that's bizarre. But I wonder if there must be some nutritional value to it, right?
Yeah, so often it has to be also, it has to have the higher fat content. So that's why they put things in there, like little bits of chocolate sometimes, or the Americans have got M&Ms in theirs. Yeah. They did back then. I don't know if they do now, but yeah, they're high fat content because it's higher in calories. So it's about getting the calories into what you're actually expending, but also you need to have those nutrients in there that are going to actually help. So... yeah.
Can I ask around something that I picked up from your pre-pod form was you said, do something you enjoy and you will succeed. So thinking of that, what skills and knowledge have helped you do the things, like all the things that you've spoken about, all the different things that you've had as part of your adventures in life since school? What skills and knowledge have helped you do the things that you enjoy and do them really well so that you have succeeded?
Good question. I feel like it could be, just your interests, really. So your skills, if you've got interest in something, that becomes a skill because you become good at it. If you're interested in something, follow that will turn into, I'm good at that, I'll keep going with that, then it turns into your skill and your interests as well. So I feel like it's always got to be something that you love.
There's a guy that's pretty big right now called Professor Scott Galloway, and he talks about sometimes people mix up the message of like just follow your passion versus he'd talk about it similar to what you're saying, which is so follow what your talents are. So if you're interested and then you start to pursue it and you do some deliberate practice and you put in effort, you probably work out the things that you've got a talent for and then you keep crafting, you just keep refining it.
Yeah.
Can I push you slightly further to find out, like, what would you say your talents are?
Oh, my talents. I think my talents are listening to what people need and helping them find a solution to get where they need to be. So an athlete will come to me and say, I need to be here in my race, or I need to finish this in sub whatever time they're looking for. And then I work out how we can get them there together with nutrition. And I feel like that, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
And I wonder too, like, I think there's so much emphasis on the training and the physical. And I know nutrition is obviously supplementing the physical, but it's interesting to me how instrumental that must be in their journey.
Oh, it's like, have you heard it saying, nutrition is 80% of your results. So nutrition, then gym's only 20%. Yeah. So if you're actually looking at fuel, you've got to fuel the body. The fuel is what's going to help you. Mental state, your physical state, it's all coming down from what you put in. So if you're putting in rubbish, you're going to get out rubbish. So you need to have that balance. And I think that nutrition is very undervalued sometimes with a lot of, especially like this gymnastics center I was talking to this morning. Like, for them to have athletes that are actually going to the Olympics, they have Olympic athletes training there without a nutritionist involved or someone that's actually helping them on a base level. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I had an opportunity to go into Sandhurst, which is like the officers training of the army. So I don't know what your equivalent is over here, but Sandhurst is like it's where all the royals went when they did their training, things. So because I had that opportunity with where I studied and what I was doing to go that way, but I wanted to stay in nutrition, but the British Army didn't have any nutritionists or dietitians or anything.
Wow.
But the Australian Army did. So already there's a difference with different armies, but they didn't, I guess, recognise the potential and the need for a nutritionist in the army at that stage. So I didn't go down that path, but I was just like, how is this not even a thing?
I shift it slightly just because I'm considering we've got parents listening, we've got students listening, potentially they're about to sit exams that have a lot of pressure on them at the moment. What's some nutritional advice you could offer kids and parents at this stage where they're stressed, perhaps sleep deprived, wanting to perform, build up their stamina? Something that you can advise for them.
So definitely eat breakfast. So eating breakfast is a big key, especially before exams.
Type of breakfast?
High protein breakfast. So either eggs or even beans on toast, something like that type of food. Something that's going to be a bit more substantial. So not just a bowl of cereal. That's just going to go straight through you. It's full of sugar and it's going to give you a high and then a drop and a crash. You want something that's going to be a little bit more slow release. So that would be eggs on toast or even porridge, overnight oats. Even if you had a protein smoothie, a smoothie with just some, if you don't fancy breakfast, smoothie with, a scoop of protein powder in there, it's just going to give you that trigger that helps to trigger the body, helps to trigger the mind and allow you to start your day.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to move into the idea of success. And you said that when you finished school, you were excited for the freedom that it was going to award you. Is that still your measure of success, or how has your idea of success shifted perhaps?
I think success for me is reaching your goals. Set yourself a goal that you, even if it's small goals, but achieving those goals along the way and having that feeling that you have accomplished something. So if you do have, have short-term and long-term goals, but goal setting, I think for me is a big key, because once you reach that goal, what you're going to do next? You're going to keep striving for new things. School for me was very much, you do it, you have to get through it. But is it the be-all and end-all? No, because there's so much other opportunities, I think. But I don't think you can leave school and be like, oh, okay, what's next? What's going to come at me? And just stand there and not do anything about it. I think you've actually got to have a goal and you've got to have a drive and you've got to push that way.
Do you have a certain approach that you take for setting goals? Is there more of just an intuitive thing?
Yeah, just a little bit of an intuitive thing, I think. I sometimes, like I say, when I decided that's the company I wanted to work for when I finished, when I moved to Australia, I was on the seek to look for a company that was similar. I quit my job, left, I had nothing. I didn't move over here to move to a job or anything. I came over unemployed, going way, way back. My mum and dad emigrated here when I was younger.
Yeah.
I started primary school here, so I did prep and grade 1 here. Then we moved back. So I always had an Australian passport. I always had the option to come over. And for me, it was, I was at the end of a relationship over there and just wanted something different.
Yeah.
So I moved here for a new fresh start. And then when I got here, I was already like, right, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So I went to the convention centre. There was a big fitness expo up there in Melbourne. I went to the convention centre and I went round to all the stands and sort of looked around and figured out which was going to be a good company for me and fit, and found Masashi. So I approached them, and one of the girls on the stand at the time, who's a very good friend of mine still now, said, yeah, just send me your CV. There's no jobs, there's nothing, but send me your CV and, I'll pass it on to HR. And I was like, okay, sent her a CV, followed up with a phone call. They got me in for an interview and created me a job working for the sports.
Sorry. Where did this come from? This idea of there's nothing here, there's no job for you. Yeah, and also, it's not even like you're sitting there going, where's an opportunity? You're like, well, what's going to fit?
How can I graft an opportunity?
Crafting it. Yeah, this is the kind. And I've been doing this since the very start. This is the company I want, rather than this is the job I want.
Yeah,
you're like, no, it's actually not just the job. It's actually where I want to be.
The values.
Yes, I actually think a lot of people look at it that way. They go, well, I want to do this. Who's got an opportunity for me to do that? Versus you're like, I want to work there. What is it about you? Where did you get that? I'm just going to do it this way. That's not. I don't think that's not known as. I just.
So a 4-step process.
It takes a lot of guts. I think.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of self-belief, and it takes a lot of understanding that it'll happen. That I can make that happen. I don't think a lot of people have that understanding or belief system.
No.
You're looking at.
I've never thought. I've never thought about it like that. When you say it like that, I've actually never ever thought about it like that.
This is my favourite part. I was saying to Dan, my favourite part of an interview is reflecting something back to somebody and then thinking, well, doesn't everybody do that? I'm like, no, they don't do that. And you're now giving somebody listening to this podcast something really incredible to take away.
Okay.
You are. But I'd love to hear.
Yeah, it's I've honestly, I've never actually had someone say that back to me. So I'm very much, okay, this is unique. I think for me, it's always just been, I want to do that, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's where I want to be. So I'm going to work to get to there.
Yes.
I couldn't be a personal trainer till I was 18. I left school. Well, what am I going to do in the meantime? I'll find something to do, then I'll come back and I'll do that, because that's where I'm going. That's the job I want to work. That's where I'm going to go. And then when I move, as I say, moving here, I feel like put your hat in the ring, really, see what happens.
Yeah.
And if you really want something, you can make it happen.
I think this is the best part about this podcast is, so we hear the way that people approach life in general, like these steps. Like, again, listening when you were explaining how you went to the convention centre, like I've got down here, so is this something that I'd regret not doing? So you just leant in.
Yeah.
Is this really what I want? You said you walked to all the different stalls and spotted, like, is this a company that I actually want to be a part of? Then you've reached out, so you have the conversation with someone, which is a really key thing, I think, for young people right now, is communication skills.
Yes.
So actually have a conversation, reach out, the person says, yes, send me your CV. So you've done the reach out, then you followed up by taking action. So you actually create the CV, you reach back out, and then you called them up. And because of that, you got an interview. So I just think, like, listening again to, like, Gwen's steps, it's like, check, like, would I regret not doing this? Is this actually what I want? I'll reach out and then I take action.
Yeah.
That seems to be a really key thing that you just continually done over this, like, since you were, I don't know, however young.
You've literally been told there's no jobs several times.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll just make it.
You're like,
it's okay.
Like, I think a lot of people go, oh, well, there's the door closed.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'll still send the CV. I'll still call up.
Yeah.
When you're calling up and they're saying there's no jobs, what's the conversation you're having?
Do you want to act this out right now?
Because, like, there's no job. You're like, okay, I'll just call. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
I love that.
It's like somebody saying, oh, can I have a reservation for dinner? Well, there's no tables. That's cool.
We've got one. Yeah.
I'll turn up and there might be one because something like cancelled. You never know. See, that's the thing. Just you never know. And you never know from reaching out to people, what possibilities that could be out there. That they created this job. There wasn't even a job for sports nutrition.
And so what is the job that they crafted for you?
So a performance nutritionist. So performance nutritionist for Musashi, I would do hand-in product development, so helping with designing the protein powders and things. I was a sports nutritionist then for all of their teams and athletes that they sponsored. So Collingwood Football Club, Richmond Football Club, St Kilda Football Club, then Melbourne Storm, Melbourne Rebels, with the Olympic athletes, boxers. It was broad. So basically then I was given the job of communicating with all of these athletes, making sure that they had the supplements that worked with them and nutrition and diet. They often had their own nutritionists or dietitians, and then I would work with them to implement supplementation in to make sure it fitted in and to do things in that sense. And also write all of their content for their websites or write meal plans for example, Melbourne Rebels didn't have a nutritionist, so I'd write all of their meal plans and their supplementation for them.
When you say write content for the website, what kind of content are you writing?
So I might be writing, they might want to launch a new protein powder or talk about protein for adolescents. And I would write an article or a blog on, I'd have to put the hat on of a 15-year-old boy or, 20-year-old female or whatever it would be to then write, so that article would be suitable for them, so they would then understand the difference between products and then work it.
Which plays to your talent of listening and understanding what people need.
Yeah.
And I'm just reflecting on the student who academically didn't do very well, had dyslexia, I'm assuming, having issues with some reading and writing.
Yep.
And now part of your role
is writing.
It's creating this content.
Yeah.
That you're doing that? Like if you could think about speaking to that person in those classrooms feeling like they weren't academic, what would you say to that girl?
I'd say just hone in on what your interests are and come back to what you're good at and what you enjoy. Because if you're good at it and you enjoy it, you will succeed. Yeah. But if you've got that little bit of interest that people used to say to me in school, you don't want to go into personal training, you don't want to do that. That's just like, that's a bit of a waste of space, time. But no, if any of my children came to me now and decided on a career for a stepping stone, whether at uni or even just to have as a background to fall upon, you always need something to fall back on. If I, suddenly lost a lot of work, I could still go back to personal training or group fitness classes. I think it's such a good career to have that you can work it with anything. So I would actually encourage my children to do a job like that, so they have something that can always work in with other things or fall back on.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's funny, in our family we often talk about, if you never ask, it's always a no. And so the whole time I've been...
With the players, don't we? The kids always come and ask for a play and we're like...
Make a pitch. What's your pitch?
She's like, and sometimes it's a no, but at the same time, it's like, it's always a no if you don't ask. You always got to ask.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, and we also say you've got a voice, so you can use it too. But I think it's really resonated with all of your experiences. So I'm really fascinated because earlier on in the conversation, you said you're really driven, and you can see like whatever I'm focused on, that's what I'm going towards. When I was in a school, we used to often say wherever we put our focus, we see improvement and progress. So knowing you now even more, what are you focused on next?
My new business.
Yeah.
So the new business that I've started, my mum passed away 11 years ago, and I found her sewing machine, and I can't sew. I mean, again, back to school, that was the last time I think I was sewing. So I taught myself how to use it, and I thought, I'll make some little Christmas gifts. This was last Christmas. I'll make some Christmas gifts for people, and I'm going to make lavender eye pillows because I think they're easy enough to make, put them on. And then I sort of experimented with a few, and I was like, right, I don't really want to be able to you can put them in the microwave, but I think they're better off used in the freezer. So you put them in the freezer, they're like a cold compress on your eyes. Yeah. So my new business plan is making eye pillows, but I'm targeting athletes and people that are doing large volumes of exercise or people that just need that recovery. So even for yoga or anything in that sort of meditation state as well. And I'm doing different scents. So everyone seems to do the basic lavender eye pillows. And I'm doing peppermint for sinus, Rose for anxiety. So there's a lot of athletes that finish exercise and just can't wind down because they're in the lights. They've got the, they're on, if the MCG, for example, they're there, you've got everything happening. You've got the crowd going, you get home and then they just, what do we do now? So originally I have designed a sports supplement that helps to bring them down, which is sold with Masashi. But now I'm thinking of other ideas that actually help people to sleep. So it's a cold compress with different fragrances and scents in it to help you with different parts of your training.
So you found a sewing machine that you can't use, and then you thought, I'll just teach myself how to
you choose
that. And then you're like, I'll just make gifts.
And I started making gifts and everyone was like, why aren't you selling these? Like, I really want to give it to my friend. I really want to give it to my teacher. I really want to give. So I was like, I don't want to be selling things. And it's like, but then I ended up making them for them anyway. So I was like, well, I'm making them. Why don't I just put them on Etsy and see what happens? And so I've done that. And it's
just in the last few weeks, isn't it?
Weeks, but I've had quite a few sales already and I'm enjoying it.
Well, I was listening to you describe, I started nodding when you're like, when athletes get home and they can't switch off, and I was like, that's me after basketball on a Wednesday night. But then you said when they're playing on the MCG, so I think you're talking about maybe pretend. But I 100%, I very much relate to that idea. And I was also going to say, if you ever need someone to test out nutrition, I've got a friend, we're both doing high rocks at the end of the year. So any tips for nutrition and sleep? I know that they're critical, so I'm very open to learning.
And sleep are a lot more important.
Oh, I'm definitely not taking that approach. I think we'll talk off air about that. But finally, Gwen, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I know we've covered a lot of ground and enjoy some wonderful nutrition and sleep. Was it tranquilized as well? Okay, lavender, peppermint.
So it's on Etsy at the moment.
It is on Etsy.
We can put that in the show notes. Yeah, people are interested. I'd be interested as a non-athlete.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not even just for athletes. Yeah. It's for just relaxation. Yeah. My kids use mine all the time, which finds me. They go to the freezer and they take it out and for sleep for them. And it's also really good when you get puffy eyes. So it reduces the puffiness around the eyes and allows you to just relax because it's got the heavier and it's a cold feeling. Yeah.
Gwen's currently acting out, putting her hands heavily on her face.
And I make sure that I've gone very much down the path of it's made on the peninsula, all of everything's sourced and ethically sourced and made here, and I use the Red Hill lavender and all of the things around here. So.
I've got some lavender in my front yard, so if I see you wandering around, I'm going to be watching out for you.
I'm trying to do my lavender garden. This is not growing properly, so I'll be coming around to you.
I was thinking, even my daughter she describes herself as having a very busy mind, especially at night.
Well, that's perfect for that.
So I was just thinking, because we do the journaling, we do the chats, and we do the mindful music, and
I would try that on with mindful music. My 8-year-old loves it. And she actually puts it on because she finds it sometimes hard to go to sleep.
Which
I'd go the lavender for that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Unless she likes the scent, she likes the smell of rose. It's very personal. Some people don't like the smell so much, but rose is very good for anxiety.
Okay, I might chat to her. We'll chat. I'll get her to smell a few.
Yeah.
Gwen, thank you so much for joining us. I know I really appreciate the openness and just the way that you've shared all the different stories. I think the thing that's really wonderful is you're in your head all the time, so you don't realise that the way that you think and approach things, you think, that's just normal. But as you said, Laura, it's so wonderful to hear all the insights that you've shared. So thank you for joining us on More Than a Score. Pleasure. And if you do happen to know someone similar or different to Gwen that's got their own story, feel free to reach out to us at morethanascorepod@gmail.com. That's right, isn't it, Laura?
Yeah, we're on Instagram.
And we're on the socials.
Pod.
Oh, sorry, Laura. I spoke over you when you were saying that then.
It's fine. It's More Than a Score Pod.
Perfect.
On Instagram.
Gwen, thank you so much. You're a legend.
Thank you.
Can we high five now?
Yes.
Yes. No, not a broken finger. We don't want to, no, that wouldn't be good. Hey, thank you so much.
No problem. I hope I answered your questions properly.
Oh, no, you were brilliant.
I was saying to Dan, you're like a very unassuming person. You're very humble. You're very...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lovely thing because Dan's like... Because I said to him, I was reading through your pre-pod form and I don't know you very well. And I was like, what's the story here? Like, what's,
Yeah.
And Dan's like, she's done this. So I was like, okay, but listening to how much you've done, I could sit here for another 2 hours and ask you questions.
Yeah, it's very, I guess when I talk it out, I'm like, wow, that's actually, I fitted quite a lot in.
And normally I bring together like a rundown of people's like since, but yours was so fascinating because it was like this. And as I was doing, I was like, this is incredible. Like, and it all just adds up to different things. But
yeah, I think within it as well, like for me, it's got a common theme. I'm not just like, oh, I'll do this. I'll do this. There's actually, I stick with him. Like with the eye pillows, I'm still going down the athlete side.
Yes,
because I'm not going. Oh, I'm gonna.
Yes, for performance or
jumping
health.
left and right. So I feel like for me, I still keep down the same path, and that's for me helps to ground what I'm.
I think it's really lovely. Like watching you when we were doing the chat just now was. Our hope when we started was sometimes people hold so tightly onto like their school experience that sometimes it can feel like it can define you. Like I might have misread this, but when we asked you that question, you were like, school, I don't want
back to school.
Yeah,
oh
that was it.
God,
and I was instantly like, I don't want you to.
No.
So it was good, but it's wonderful because so many people have that school experience.
Yeah, okay.
And then that's why I was so excited about having you on because I knew you'd had that.
Yeah.
And then you've just gone off and done all this other stuff.
Yeah. What is really interesting too, though, is. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't feel like you were very defined by the school experience. You were kind of like, yeah, I went to sport, it was social, and there were some tricky bits, but like actually my life really began after.
Yeah.
Whereas I noticed too, Dan, how many conversations we have where the school component actually takes up. Like I actually felt this school component for you was like we moved on relatively quick. We actually got into your journey. Whereas for some people, the school part actually is
Yeah.
It is. And it's really interesting how you see where people put their emphasis.
Yeah.
Tom actually it's an English speaker's top out. He was the same. He's like, no. And then he moved on really quickly.
I had that. So that was my experience with school. So there's people that I went to school with. So I had a 20-year reunion a couple of years ago. And it was all about when they're at school and there's this really tight group, they don't really go beyond their school friends. They volunteer at the school and they help out. They're on the school committees. And I'm like, I moved...
Because I find that Bo will walk down the street and he'll say, oh, I used to go to school, and he'll stop and he'll talk to this.
Is he still living in the same vicinity? Is that why?
Maybe.
Yeah.